Okay, welcome to this week's video on a very interesting topic, and I want to thank the person who suggested it. I don't know who you are, but you used to go to Clermont High School, and suggesting a topic that is really, really interesting, one that I didn't really know that much about, and probably still don't know nearly enough. So this is a light summary of this story. In Jamaica, the $500 bill has quite an odd name. It's called a nanny. This is because of the picture of the woman on the bill. Her name is Nanny of the Maroons. Much like how British bills feature people we feel have impacted society and the monarch on the other side, Jamaica's $500 bill features a truly inspirational figure. Beginning in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I to the mid-1800s, Britain had its own slave trade. Slaves were traded for goods in Africa and taken to what was called the New World. That's the Caribbean and North America, lands that Britain had colonized and found were ideal for growing raw materials that England's climate could not. The slave trade was based on greed and demand, all for materials that were not required for survival. The slaves were controlled through fear and violence and dehumanized. They were not treated as people, and dehumanization was used to try and stop them from resisting. From the offset, it looks like Nanny of the Maroons story is typical of a slave story. She was born in Africa. The exact date and location, not entirely certain, although believed to have been born in the mid-1680s in the Ashanti Kingdom, modern-day Ghana. She was taken to Jamaica, and again, the stories around this aren't entirely clear. What is clear is that she escaped slavery, with one story saying that she maybe even jumped ship before she actually arrived in Jamaica. In Jamaica, they say that she never actually was enslaved. Either way, by 1720, she and a group of escaped slaves known as Maroons controlled an area of the Blue Mountains, a whole section of Jamaica, which included a settlement which became known as Nanny Town. Many Maroons were actually former Spanish slaves who escaped when the British took over Jamaica. This was how they got their name, from the Spanish word cimarron, meaning mountaineer, very appropriate for where they lived. For the British, this was a serious problem, and they launched a campaign to defeat them, now known as the First Maroon War. This was fought between 1728 and 1734, and during it, Nanny Town was actually destroyed. The British leader claimed that he'd destroyed the town and killed all the Maroons, but that wasn't actually true. Nanny and the leaders survived, and they continued to fight. The Maroons were able to hold off the British thanks to their leader, Nanny. She taught her warriors guerrilla warfare, using their surroundings, which they knew far better than the better armed and better trained British soldiers. They were clearly effective because in 1739, the British and another Maroon leader signed a peace treaty. The British seemed unbeatable at that time, and yet they'd been stopped by a group of former slaves who cannot have been as well equipped. It surely must have infuriated their leaders that they gave up 500 acres of land to the Maroons, who promptly set up New Nanny Town. Surely a tribute to the woman who had helped them hold off the enemy. Nanny didn't even like this treaty, likely because she didn't agree with its terms, as it included things like not assisting slaves who'd escaped from British control. British accounts of the war include stories of trees coming to life and killing them, and using stealthy fires to hide their location. The Maroons were said to be masters at slowing their breath so that they couldn't be found. They used a cow horn called an abeng to pass long-range messages. This frustrated the British, who didn't have a long-range message capability, plus they didn't understand the meaning of the messages. The Maroons chose their fighting positions very carefully, and surely Nanny's masterstroke was to not kill all of their enemies, but actually let some stay alive, go back, spread the message and the fear of the Maroons. Nanny is the subject of stories, poems, and folklore, which has created an incredible legacy. She was said to have exceptional leadership qualities, and British accounts of fighting the Maroon are filled with fear and surprise at how effectively she trained them. Many stories were spread about her, like her possibly having an ability to catch bullets. Some Africans could do this, so it could potentially be true, and either way, it adds to her impressive legend. In 1982, Nanny became a Jamaican national hero, as reflected by her face being on the really important banknote and this statue behind as well. Although much of her story is shrouded in mystery, some details are missing and some are maybe dismissed as myth, it is clear that Nanny of the Maroons was an inspirational figure at the time and even today in Jamaica. She's a symbol of resistance, much like the Rani of Jhansi and is surely not as well known as she should be. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget to keep suggesting things to talk about next time.